maybe it's not plugged in or what? This one is not doing anything. But anyhow.
You got to turn it off. It's off. It's off.
No, they might have turned it off because it's not coming on. Okay. So we'll be singing the Sri Ramakrishna Nama Sankirtan. And please sing, this is Sankirtan, so it's supposed to be sung together. There's an opening prayer, and then we'll sing the different names of Sri Ramakrishna describing his incidents in his life, and then his qualities, and then his teachings. There's a little feedback. I don't know if you can fix that. And then finally but now the volume is low, of course. You have to cut out the high notes in the balancing. And then finally there's a prayer. Finally some prayers. Here we go. Sarva jiva papanasha karanam bhaveshwaram swikritam jagarbhavasa deha pasham idrisham yapitam swalilaya cha yena divya jivanam tam namami deva deva Ramakrishna Ishwaram. Om Shri Vivekanandari Satchitya Supujitaya Shri Sarada Divya Virata Sevitaya Shri Ramakrishna Paramahamsaya Avatara Varisthaya Jate Namaha Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagati Dehadhari Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagati Dehadhari Ramakrishna Janma Puta Vangadesha Vipravamsha Ramakrishna Chandramani Shudirama Saukya Datre Ramakrishna Shaishave Prishilpa Gita Kalani Puna Ramakrishna Pakshi Pankti Darshanat Samadhi Mapta Ramakrishna Saptamapta Lupta Petru Prema Vala Ramakrishna Balya Eva Viragagni Dahyamana Ramakrishna Bhuta Bhuvi Dhyanamagna Bala Yogi Ramakrishna Vikshu Yogi Sa Ramakrishna Krishna Raga Yukta Radhikaya Mama Ramakrishna Para Brahma Parashakti Rupa Ramakrishna Parama Rakshanaya Jagati Dehadari Ramakrishna Loka Shikshanam Vihaya Moksha Kama Ramakrishna Dakshinesha Kalikarjanani Nirata Ramakrishna Bhaktihina Rasamani Taditavana Ramakrishna Jagan Matri Darshanaya Proruvanhi Ramakrishna Atma Anana Samayadapta Matri Drishti Ramakrishna Sarvakala Jagam Matri Drishti Bharita Ramakrishna Shivam Nadam Nirasaya Kritodvaha Ramakrishna Vivahe Krite Pitavachalam Mano Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagarupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagat Dehadari Ramakrishna Bhairaveya Padatale Shishya Bhota Ramakrishna Tantra Shastra Sadhanena Siddhi Mapta Ramakrishna Raghavagna Chitta Yoga Parama Bhakta Ramakrishna Rama Bhakti Vismritat Vanarasama Ramakrishna Krishna Bhakti Vismritatma Radhikaiva Ramakrishna Totapuri Vidita Veda Shirastatva Ramakrishna Chirasamadhi Meru Shikhar Dridhasthana Ramakrishna Sadhana Samayepi Shikshitatma Guru Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagat Dehadari Ramakrishna Kaista Purva Chitra Dharma Charana Nirata Ramakrishna Sarva Dharma Samanatva Satyadarshi Ramakrishna Ekavastu
Brahma Sabhya Keshavadi Karshitavana Ramakrishna Bhakta Sevakagamam Pratikshamana Ramakrishna Sadhu Shishya Bhakta Vrinda Vringa Kamala Ramakrishna Sadhu Shishya Bhakta Hridaya Kamala Tarani Ramakrishna Narendradi Chatra Koti Shikshamana Ramakrishna Bhakta Papa Karshana Drujaya Grasta Ramakrishna Roga Dukha Nirvishana Manayukta Ramakrishna Mahasamadhi Para Brahmalina Ramakrishna Para Brahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagati Dehadari Ramakrishna Nirvikara Nirakara Para Brahma Ramakrishna Jagat Krishna Kartri Patri Antri Deva Ramakrishna Taila Bhakti Nishu Jagatya Vivyapta Ramakrishna Sarva Bhuta Hridaya Vesha Buddhi Sakshi Ramakrishna Sadhakadyanugrahaya Vapuram Dhalasi Ramakrishna Sundaratanu Deepta Vadana Kripa Drishti Ramakrishna Sarvakalam Namdahasa Ruchira Vaktra Ramakrishna Sumanasapi Cheda Yoga Mridu Sharira Ramakrishna Para Brahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagati Dehadari Ramakrishna Veda Shastra Puranani Saravetri Ramakrishna Sarva Veda Shastra Vat Pramana Kartri Ramakrishna Jnani Jano Yasya Pade Bhagaito Ramakrishna Kushalamate Tikshna Mana Pragya Kave Ramakrishna Dina Bandhu Daya Sindhu Samshita Gati Ramakrishna Aparishodha Girisha Chandra Sharanadati Ramakrishna Putra Shoka Tapta Matre Shanti Dai Ramakrishna Ushtarogi Ghora Ruja Vinashayasi Ramakrishna Para Brahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagati Dehadari Ramakrishna Mritsuvarna Samanatva Darshitavan Ramakrishna Kalita Brahmacharya Ramakrishna Nikhilatamo Sheshahantri Vasamana Ramakrishna Anibhuta Satyavayuna Harsharupa Ramakrishna Prema Rupa Purna Rupa Shakti Rupa Ramakrishna Sakala Kuvasana Bija Nashakari Ramakrishna Punashamarana Manuradharana Bhavaswari Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagat Dehadari Ramakrishna Sahaja Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Rupa Ramakrishna Yoga Yoga Siddhi Machiramapa Bhavan Ramakrishna Nirvikalpa Siddhi Mapta Raja Yogi Ramakrishna Devanama Nishamanadasho Vimug Ramakrishna Loka Sangrahaya Satata Karma Nirata Ramakrishna Krishna Yoga Siddhi Tulya Pada Dhoni Ramakrishna Yoga Gamya Yogi Gamya Deva Deva Ramakrishna Hela Yogi Pate Yoga Siddhidatri Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagat Dehadari Ramakrishna Preshamaham Yadrishtamapi Bhavatyeva Ramakrishna Ajnaguna Ishvaropi Tatha Bhavati Ramakrishna Mayayapi Tatpadamikshitastu Ramakrishna Hema Kama Ganam Umayeti Vedni Ramakrishna Tasya Bandhurahankara Iptinito Ramakrishna Bhaktihina Panditastu Nidrasama Ramakrishna Sadhikara Purusha Eva Gurur Bhavet Ramakrishna Asati Jagati Magna Jano Mukta Eva Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagat Rupa Ramakrishna Dharma Rakshanaya Jagati Dehadari Ramakrishna Sadhu Sangha Nama Japa Moksha Karo Ramakrishna Malina Vasanastya Jedi Sadhana Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Paramarakshanaaya Jagat Dehadari Ramakrishna Ahimsa Charaktagata Bhavatu Hare Ramakrishna Punya Papa Vivekopi Bhavedeva Ramakrishna Brahmacharya Shaktirastu Me Manasi Ramakrishna Indravritirapi Madhya Hridhi Chamastu Ramakrishna Mati Dehi Balam Dehi Vade Sthalam Ramakrishna Shundha Bhakti Rapita Vastu Param Puja Ramakrishna Rama Eva Krishna Eva Bhavanubhaya Ramakrishna Brahma Rupa Shakti Rupa Paramahamsa Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharmarakshanaya Jagati Dehadari Ramakrishna Parabrahma Parashakti Jagadrupa Ramakrishna Dharmarakshanaya Jagati Dehadari Ramakrishna Brahmanandam Shivam Shantam Premarupam Niranjanam Yogishamadbhutam Nityam Akhandadvaitaksharam Vijnanam Trigunatītam Turiyabhedasamnitam Subodham Saradam Chaiva Vivekashashibhushanam Samanvaya Mahacharyam Yugadharma Swarupinam Sarvadeva Swarupam Shri Ramakrishnam Namamyaham Iti Sri Ramakrishna Nama Sankirtanam Samaptam.
Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha.
Sri Ramakrishna Stotra Dashakam by Swami Virajananda.
Brahma Rupamadi Madhyashesha Sarvavasakam Bhava Sakkarhina Rupa Nitya Satyam Advayam Brahmanoti Gocharam Chaneti Neti Bhavitam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Aviteya Viharam Surari Daitya Nashakam Sadhu Shishta Kamadam Mahi Subara Harakam Swarna Rupa Tattvakam Yuge Yuge Jadashitam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Sarva Bhuta Sarga Karma Sutra Bandha Karanam Jnana Karma Papa Punya Taratamya Sadhanam Buddhi Vasa Sakshi Rupa Sarva Karma Pashanam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Sarva Jiva Papa Nasha Karanam Bhaveshwaram Sri Kritancha Karma Vasha Deha Pasa Midrisham Vyapitam Sarila Yachayena Dilya Kevalam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tulya Losta Kanchanancha Heya Heya Diratam Sri Sunitya Matri Rupa Shakti Bhava Bhavukam Jnana Bhakti Mukti Mukti Shuddha Buddhidayakam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Sarva Dharma Gamya Mula Satya Tattva Deshakam Siddha Sarva Sampradaya Sampradaya Varjitam Sarva Shastra Varma Darshi Sarva Vini Raksharam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Charu Darsha Kalika Sugita Charu Gayakam Kirtaneshu Matavacha Nitya Bhava Vibalam Supadesha Dayakam Hishoka Tava Varakam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Pada Padma Tattva Bodha Shanti Saukya Dayakam Sakta Chitta Bhakta Sunu Nitya Vitta Vadaram Dhammi Kalpataranam Tu Nirbayam Jagat Gurum Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Panchavarsha Bala Bhava Yukta Hamsa Rupinam Sarvaloka Ranjanam Bhavati Sangha Banjanam Shanti Saukya Sarma Jiva Janma Piti Darshanam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Dharmahana Harakam Swadharma Dharma Bharakam Loka Dharma Charanancha Sarva Dharma Kovidam Tyagi Gehi Sevya Nitya Pavanam Vipankatam Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Tannamami Deva Deva Ramakrishna Mishwaram Stotra Shunya Somakam Sadesha Bhava Vyanjakam Nitya Patakasya Vaivipati Punjanashakam Syakadapi Jaga Yaga Yoga Yoga Saulabam Durlabantu Ramakrishna Raga Bhakti Bhavanam Durlabantu Ramakrishna Raga Bhakti Bhavanam Durlabantu Ramakrishna Raga Bhakti Bhavanam.
Translation. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who is verily the Parabrahman himself, in whom inhere all cosmic birth and growth and death, who is untouched by the six vikaras. Whom words cannot express nor minds conceive, the eternal truth itself, beside whom no second exists, to reach whom sages follow the path of negation alone. Not this art thou, O Lord. I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who dispels the fear of devas, the sons of Aditi, who destroys the demons, the foes of the gods, who fulfills the desires of the good and the righteous, who relieves the heavy weight of the sins of the world and manifests his own true self in every age. I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who has bound all beings in the cord of karma, who brings all jnana and karma, all virtues and vices, each in its measure, into his own judgment, who dwells in our heart and as intelligence, and is the witness unattached, yet from whom emanate all actions that bind and free. I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who redeems all sins of individuals, who being the Lord of the worlds was born out of compassion, of the womb of a mother, and accepted the bond of the body of his own will, who lived the life beatific, displaying his sport divine. I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, to whom gold and potsherd were the same, whose mind rose above all likes and dislikes, who saw in all women Mahashakti, the mother of the universe herself. To him, the giver of knowledge and devotion, of enjoyment here and hereafter, of salvation and pure intelligence, I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who inculcated the one truth that is revealed in all faiths, who realized the truth in all creeds and still had no creed of his own, no sect, who saw into the heart of all scriptures and yet was himself unlettered, the omniscient, I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, whose beauty made him enchantingly attractive to all, who often sang in rapturous notes songs to Mother Kali, who in chanting grew mad in ecstasy and was wrapped ever in divine communion, who by his sage counsel guided the aspirant's course, who dispelled the sorrows and heartache of all, I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who bore witness to the mystic virtue of his lotus feet, the dispenser of peace and happiness, who augments the welfare here and in worlds beyond of his own devoted children, the scourge of the proud, the fearless, who bodied himself as the teacher of the world, I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who was Paramahamsa's self on earth with all, whose nature was like that of a child of 5, who radiated happiness all around, who vanquishes all attachment for the world, in whom dwell all peace and happiness, who demolishes the fear of birth and death, I bow down in deep reverence. To him, the God of gods, Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who checked the growth of unrighteousness and redeemed Dharma from all stain, who though a master seer of truths of all religions, for the guidance of humanity, followed the faith of the many, whose holy lotus feet should always be worshipped by those who have renounced and those who have not. I bow down in deep reverence. This 10-versed hymn unfolds the glory of Sri Ramakrishna, who was verily the God, supreme, absolute himself. One who reads this every day overcomes all dangers. Japa and tapa, yajna, yoga, and bhoga, all such things may be easily attainable sometime or another. But a deep attachment for and devotion to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is a rare achievement indeed.
Shanti, 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 Hari Om Tat Sat, Sri Ramakrishna Paramastu.
Let's give a big round of applause for the chanting team. I think the mic, is it fine? Yeah. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma swarupini Avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this wonderful occasion, the birthday of Sri Ramakrishna. We've already had a wonderful day with the puja, the homa, prasad, and the day continues, the joy continues with an afternoon program where devotees will be sharing their reflections, their songs, and we just heard a beautiful hymn chanted by the chanting team. I never actually mentioned the people in the team, so I'll just mention that now. The people on the chanting team are Brahmachari Rishi, Ellis, Leela, Suman, Kaushiki, Asim, Sarala, and on Kol was Kiran. So they did a wonderful job. And first up, Pooja and Kaushiki will be singing a duet. It's called Orupo Shayore. It's a Bengali song composed by Swami Premeshanandaji. So I'll read the translation and then invite them to sing. Under the gentle breeze of mercy, waves have risen in the ocean of formlessness. Merged in the undivided, without beginning or end, thou, through thine inscrutable power, hast assumed a human form. On the side of the mind there is a realm unknown, where neither the sun nor the moon can enter. But even there, thine infinite smile sheds its rays and lumines with charming light. Thy body is made of love and puts to shame the god of beauty. And what sweet light thine eyes bestrew. Whoever sees thee longs to offer at thy feet his body, life, and mind. Many ages come and gone have awaited thee. But today all doubts have vanished. Oh, receive the gift of all I have. I dedicate my life to serving thee. Please join me in welcoming Pooja and Kaushiki.
চাই তোমারি আশায় কত যুগগত সংশয় যত আজি তিরোহিত যাচ্ছে আমার লহ উপহার সপিনু জীবন তব সেবায় অরূপ সায়রে লীলা লহরী উঠিল মৃদুল করুণাবায় অরূপ সায়রে লীলা লহরী.
Thank you, Kaushiki and Pooja, for that beautiful song. Very philosophical song. Now we begin our speeches. We'll have a total of 11, and they'll be interspersed with songs. So first up is Bindu. She will be speaking on the topic, Power of the Avatara. Please join me in welcoming Bindu.
Pranam Swami Sarvadevananda, all other Swamis, Matajis, and fellow devotees. Many saints and sages have realized God. Many have guided disciples and awakened spiritual awareness. But the Bhagavad Gita makes a clear distinction between a realized soul and an avatar. In chapter 4, verse 7, Lord Krishna declares, "Whenever dharma declines and adharma rises, I manifest myself." You remember, yada yada. This is the defining function of the avatar, not merely to attain realization, but to restore dharma and redirect the spiritual course of humanity. Sri Ramakrishna appeared at a time when religion in India had become divided between ritual without realization on one side and skepticism and materialism on the other. His life restored the central truth that God can be directly realized. His interaction with Swami Vivekananda illustrates this clearly. Vivekananda was highly rational and questioned everything. He did not accept Ramakrishna easily, but Ramakrishna did not rely on argument. He gave Vivekananda direct spiritual experience that removed his doubt permanently. More importantly, when Vivekananda asked to remain absorbed in samadhi, Ramakrishna refused. He told him he had a greater mission to serve humanity and spread spiritual knowledge worldwide. This is avataric authority. A saint may grant liberation. An avatar directs souls not only for liberation, but for restoration of dharma in the world. Through Vivekananda, Ramakrishna's influence spread far beyond one place or time. His interaction with Totapuri reveals another dimension. Totapuri was an accomplished Advaita monk who taught the realization of the formless absolute. Under this guidance, Ramakrishna attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi almost immediately, something that normally requires a very long time. Yet Ramakrishna did not remain absorbed in that state. He returned and affirmed both the formless absolute and the personal divine as equally real. This demonstrated a completeness that transcended any single path. The avatar does not belong to one doctrine. He confirms the truth behind all paths. Similarly, Ramakrishna transformed Rakhal, later Swami Brahmananda, into a deeply realized spiritual leader who would later guide the Ramakrishna order. Ramakrishna was not simply teaching individuals, he was establishing a spiritual force that would continue after his lifetime. The Bhagavad Gita also says in chapter 4, verse 9, "My birth and actions are divine. One who understands this is freed from rebirth." This means the avatar's life itself becomes a channel of liberation. The avatar does not come merely to teach principles, but to demonstrate divine reality in human form. Another unique feature of Ramakrishna was that he practiced multiple religions, Vedanta, devotional Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity, and affirmed from direct realization that all led to the same ultimate truth. At a time when religious division and doubt were increasing, he restored the understanding of spiritual unity. This fulfilled the purpose described in the Gita, to restore clarity when confusion prevails. A saint realizes God and may guide disciples, but an avatar restores spiritual momentum for generations, establishes new channels of realization, and reshapes the spiritual direction of humanity. Sri Ramakrishna did exactly this. Through his life and through Vivekananda and others, his influence continues to awaken people even today. This is the deeper meaning of avataric power. Not personal greatness, but divine intervention for the preservation and the renewal of dharma. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu, for that wonderful explanation of what makes Sri Ramakrishna so unique, not just as a saint, but as an avatar. Next up is Prashanjit. He will be speaking on Sri Ramakrishna's Bengali teaching, which he'll explain. More firiye dao. Please join me in welcoming Prashanjit.
Thank you, Swamiji. Pranam monks and Swamiji, Swami Sarvadavanandaji Maharaj. And good afternoon, everyone. I hope I don't put you to sleep after such a beautiful lunch. So my goal will be to tell you more firiye dao. This three-word phrase Thakur would use to as an advice to people who would come to him with intense grief, like loss of a loved one, or very severe attachment bordering addiction. And so what I'm going to talk about is what is unique about this more firiye dao. Most of them would come to him and say that, teach me yoga, teach me meditation. And Sri Ramakrishna would say, why meditation, why yoga? Just turn the direction of the mind to God. Now, why did he say that? Why turning the direction to God is important? Because Sri Ramakrishna lived his life completely God immersed, so he felt that God is the purpose of our life. Realizing God is the goal of our life. So turning the mind when it is in its worst phases towards God is the only way to get to God. Because when you are enjoying life, right, when you're having Valentine's Day dinner and stuff, you don't think of God. But when something really terrible happens, oh my God, what happened, right? That's when he's saying that's when you actually, when you're in pain, when all of your quote-unquote loved ones are leaving you, when your Valentine's heart is breaking, that's when you turn the grief into attachment for God. Because there is nobody closer to you than God. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna knew for a fact. And we also know that, right? When we go through pain, we lose confidence for our loved ones, we lose confidence for our own self. And then that's when God steps in. And that's the moment when, Ravi Thakur actually wrote, Rabindranath Tagore wrote a beautiful poem, Shukher majhe tumai dekhechi, dukkhe majhe pechi. I see God when I'm happy, but I feel God, realize God when I'm sad, because there is nobody else around you. So turning the direction of the mind to God is our prescription for our current day and age. And I'll kind of give some basic examples, like one of the few things you could do. How do you turn your attention to God? Well, if you have a ton of grief, you basically just say, well, I have lost a loved one, but I have God. So turn their attention to God. If you have a desire, strong attachment and addiction, you should actually seek satsanga. Really, come to the temple. This is such a beautiful temple. Come here. All addiction will fly away. So And you get some food also sometimes, not all the times. And of course, there is fear and anxiety, right? We kind of feel like that, something that I may have done or I will do that will cause huge pain and grief, and you fear about the future. Either you're grieving for loss or fearing about future, you're not paying attention to God. So when you fear about future, just look at the sky. The sky was here before you. The sky will be here without you. So there's nothing to fear. Whether you believe in God or Brahman, everything's taken care of. So just do that. I think in summary, what I wanted to kind of share with you is Sri Ramakrishna actually was teaching not just turning the attention to God that's outward. He was actually teaching us to turn the direction eventually to the God within our hearts. This is our spiritual heart, okay? And when you pray to gods, like most of our hymns actually, a prayer to Mother Durga, Akbar Birajogo Ma Hridaya Kamalarshane. Or if you do Shiva chanting, right, you basically Karpuragaram Karnavatarang Sansar Saram Bhujigendraram. Sada Vasantang Hridayar Vinde Bhavang Mohani Saitam Namami. So the attention of the God has to be the spiritual heart. Because when you're in deep trouble, you will not be in a temple. You may have met a car accident on the freeway, but if you have God in your heart, you'll feel God's presence. So that's the key. But one of the final things in the last 30 seconds, what I wanted to share with you is just my own reflection. That the biggest challenge of our life is that we don't seek God to seek God. We seek God to seek the world. Even this speech, sometimes I was actually telling my wife yesterday, should I even speak? Everything that's good has been spoken. What am I doing speaking? But the point is that if our every action is God-seeking, then we'll get God. If our actions are world-seeking, then the cycle of pleasure and pain will continue. And that is what Sri Ramakrishna taught us, that if we make God the center of our life, if we make God the sole purpose, the sole goal of our life, then we should be able to get over grief. We should be able to get over fear, anxiety. We should be able to get over any uncertainty that the world presents us, because God will always be with us in our hearts. Jai Sri Ramakrishna.
Thank you, Prashanjit. That was a very nice speech. One of my favorite teachings, actually, of Sri Ramakrishna's. It's just one of the ways that Sri Ramakrishna is so unique and so amazing, is that his teachings were always so natural. He never encouraged us to do anything that was artificial, that would result in repression or suppression. One of my favorite examples of Morfidia Dao, turning your lower impulses toward God, is somebody came to Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Ramakrishna asked him, who do you love more than anyone else in the world? And his answer was, my pet goat. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, perfect. Now, love that goat as God. See God in that goat. And he made tremendous spiritual progress just by doing that. That's a very good example of this, turning the mind toward God. Next up is Sarala. She'll be speaking on the topic, Be a Fool, Be Mad for God. Please join me in welcoming Sarala.
Where is the wise person? Where is the teacher of the law? Where is the philosopher of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? All creation is the sport of my mad mother Kali. By her Maya, the three worlds are bewitched. Mad is she and mad is her husband. Mad are her two disciples. None can describe her loveliness, her glories, gestures, and moods. Shiva, with the agony of poison in his throat, chants the name again and again. But I don't want to go among mad people, Alice remarked. Oh, you can't help that, said the cat. We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad. How do you know I'm mad? Said Alice. You must be, said the cat, or you wouldn't have come here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a glorious day. Jai Thakur, Jai Ma, Swami Sarvadevananda, Swamiji's, Mataji. It is again a pleasure to be here. And they're going to do something different because I feel so much that was just spoken about was what I'm going to speak to, and yet it's all connected. First and foremost is immense gratitude for our teachers, and Thakur as being one of them. I was raised in a Catholic tradition, and when I was 8 years old, I asked my father, like, where's our Jesus? I don't understand how at one point in time there was a man leading humanity coming from God. Where's our version of that? And through another teacher who is part of the Ramakrishna lineage, Reverend Zoe Inman, I was introduced to the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, landed here in Hollywood, and the teachings continued like through Swami Sarvadevanandaji and the other Swamis and Matajis, and it's been an extreme blessing because the prayer for so long has been to go home and to go home to God, and through his teachings, he showed the way. And the way is that, one, to be a fool, and two, to become mad. And to become mad, you have to be a fool. And in order to do so is to not take yourself too seriously. And where does that begin? Where better place can that begin than in your spiritual practice? So what would that look like to be a fool? And Sri Ramakrishna demonstrated that so beautifully in his fervent devotion for Mother, like the way that he tended to her, the way that he prayed, the way that he got lost in an ecstatic mood. So many people saw him as a madman, that he was going insane. But he was just being very true to his nature and not caring about what other people thought. And I think, especially in this day and age where this life, to begin with, is absolutely bonkers and absurd, and so it is to be a human. And so how can we take all those things of being human and guide that towards Mother? So in terms of like when you're home, you know, when you want to be a fool, it's like take all what our fellow brother was just speaking to, like your anxiety or anger, and put that towards Mother. And one of my teachers once demonstrated that so beautifully, where I didn't even know that was an option. Mother, I am so angry right now. Why did that car hit me? Mother, do something! I feel so upset! Much better to do it towards her than towards another human being, don't you think? But even if that feeling comes through like in the middle of the street, what liberation to let that out into the hands of Ma and to be careless for what other people might think. So then it is to be mad for that ecstasy, for that enthusiasm to come through, to be mad for what is this play that you've created and this madness, to be mad in the way of like, show me the reality with capital R, as opposed to this day-to-day mundane life as humanity. And that was the beauty in Sri Ramakrishna, that in everything that he did, that came through again and again and again. And he guided other people in that way too, in showing like what are their tendencies? How can you use your tendency to get closer towards Mother? So to be fool and to be mad helps one to cultivate that fervent devotion towards God, to get closer to God, and perhaps one day become one with God. O Mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason? Make me drunk with thy love's wine. O thou who stealest thy bhaktas' hearts, drown me deep in the sea of thy love. Here in this world, this madhouse of thine, Some laugh, some weep, some dance for joy. Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Gauranga, all are drunk with the wine of thy love. O Mother, when shall I be blessed by joining their blissful company? Jai Ma, Jai Thakur.
Thank you, Sarala, for that lively speech. I think it's an important point that in spiritual life, there's this danger of becoming image conscious and caring more about what other people think of us than actually making spiritual progress. And I think it's great. Just be a fool, be mad for God. So thank you. Next up is Tara. She'll be singing a Bengali song called Bhabo Shagoro, but it's a very Sanskritic Bengali song. And I'll be reading the translation, and then I'll invite her up. I salute the Gurudeva, who is the only means of crossing this ocean of samsara, who is the only means of breaking the bondage of death. I have approached you as a servant for your refuge, with a mind filled with the fear of never-ending samsara. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. I salute Gurudeva, who dispels the darkness of ignorance by illuminating the cave of the heart with spiritual knowledge. O Lord, you are Vishnu, Prajapati, and Shankara, and the Vedas declare you as the supreme Brahman greater than everything. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. I salute Gurudeva, who is the Ankusha, the hook restraining the mind from getting attached to the world, who is the visible Hari, protecting human beings from getting immersed in the ocean of samsara and carrying them across. The Devas are intent upon singing the praises of your divine qualities. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. I salute Gurudeva, who awakens the dormant Kundalini Shakti by breaking its long sleep, and tearing asunder the knots of the heart makes that Kundalini rise. My mind is restless day and night. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. I salute Gurudeva, who destroys the enemies in the form of lust and greed, and acts as the great power bestowing auspiciousness, who bestows happiness and peace and grants boons and fearlessness during our life's journey. The virtue of your name takes away the threefold miseries from our lives. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. I salute Gurudeva, who crushes the power of pride within us. O Lord, you protect the one without any refuge by giving them your refuge. My mind is always alarmed, being bereft of the treasure of steady devotion to your lotus feet. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. I salute Gurudeva, O Lord. Your name always gives rise to auspiciousness and purifies the fallen and lowly. Your glory is only perceptible to the pure mind. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. I salute Gurudeva, victory to Sadguru, who leads toward the attainment of God by annihilating the diseases of worldly attachments. May my mind always rest at your lotus feet. O Gurudeva, please shower your mercy on me. Please shower your grace on this helpless soul. Please join me in welcoming Tara.
Dang, I forgot that this is different than mine. I have to do this too. Oh, nice. नमस्कार है तुम्हें विष्णु प्रजापति शंकर है परब्रह्म परापर वेद बने गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने मानवारण शासन अंकुश है नरत्राण तरे हरि चाक्षुष है गुणगान दया पर गाने गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने कुल कुंडलिनी कुम बांजक है वृत्ति ग्रंथि विदारण क्या रख है मम मानस चंचल आत्रुदिने गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने रिपुसुंदन मंगल नायक है सुख शांति वरभय दायक है त्रय परितव नाम गुणे गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने अभिमान प्रभाव विमर्दक है दिनहीन जाने तुम्हें रक्षक है चित शांकित वांछित भक्ति दाने गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने तव नाम सदा शुभ साधक है पतित दाम मानव पावक है महिमा तव गुचर शुद्ध माने गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने जय सद्गुरु ईश्वर प्रापक है महरूग विख्यार विनाशक है मन ये नारायण तव श्री चरणे गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने 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 मान ये नारायण तव श्री चरणे गुरुदेव दया कर दिन जाने.
Thank you, Tara, for the beautiful song. Next up is Asim. He will be speaking on the topic Daydreaming of Godai. Please join me in welcoming Asim.
Pranams. I had begun my own daydream about his boyhood, but I never got past his advent, his birth, so this will entirely be of his birth, a retelling. Dawning upon the serenity of spring, life abounds. The simple, prosperous hamlets dotted the landscape of West Bengal, floating upon the sea of green. Vast, abundant agricultural fields are the jewels of industry, joining together the various artisans, sadhakas, and families populating a pristine, pious culture. Every year, about 60 miles west of Calcutta, the village Kamarpukur bursts into revelry for the Lord Shiva and his daughter, the goddess Manasa. With a bird's eye view, we look upon the northwest part of the village. On the northern side of the road, we see a cremation ground apart from the rest. Just to the east, a Yogi Shiva temple and the Haldar pond beside it. Across the road to the south are a bundle of thatched roof cottages, providing a parlor, living space, a kitchen, and standing independently in an open space, a shrine to Raghuvir, the family deity. This evening, after the daily food offerings to Raghuvir, the small thatched shed was promptly prepared as a delivery room. A rice husking machine on one side and a wood-burning stove on the other. Tonight, Sri Ram, the father, sleeps in a room with his eldest son, Ram Kumar. Chandra Devi, who is to give birth very soon, is accompanied by her daughter-in-law, Dhani, sharing the only other room. 12 minutes preceding dawn's arrival, Dhani escorts Chandra Devi to the prepared room, for she now feels the coming of an immaculate child. Hearing this activity, Sri Ram and Ram Kumar promptly gather a number of Chandra Devi's friends and companions, women close by, expectant and eager. As we look into the shed, Dhani brandishes an oil lamp in one hand, encouraging our mother with a comforting touch to enter and take her place. Gently and graciously, she eases onto the floor. Immediately, as soon as she lays down, we see her give birth to a baby boy, whom Dhani rests upon the floor and attends to Chandra Devi. The newborn child, not yet to be cleaned, slides away. Dhani now turns back. She startles, grabs the lantern, and turning up the flame, she looks around. Where's the child? Holding aloft the flame, searching. There, in the open compartment where the fuel is placed into the wood-burning stove, the child lays besmeared in ash and without a sound. Soon, the gathering of family and friends arrive. Dhani joyfully tells them, the delivery has gone smoothly. Chandra Devi is in good health and is blissfully cradling a handsome boy. The very moment before sunrise, Conch shells and celebration reverberate this holy cottage. Today, we welcome a great soul.
Thank you, Asim, for that unique daydream. It reminds me of those stories from the Calm app. I mean that as a compliment. Next up is Kaushik. He will be speaking on Sarva Deva Swarupa Sri Ramakrishna. Please join me in welcoming Kaushik.
Respected Swami Sarvadevanandaji, all Maharajas and Matajis, and my fellow devotees. So, the topic that I'm trying to cover today, I feel that has been kind of, the essence has been covered already, although we are not even 50% done, right? But I feel like we are going through the japam of the same mala of Ramakrishna and iterating through it, hoping one day the bhava of the Thakur will actually penetrate the 5 sheets and hit on our Atman. So the topic, as Maharaj said, is Sarvadeva Swarupa Sri Ramakrishna, or Ramakrishna as the embodiment of all divine forms. It was April 1886 in Kashipur Garden House. Ramakrishna was battling the last stage of his throat cancer. Seated next was Naren, thinking privately, now if he says that I am Avatara, as Rama or Krishna, I shall believe him. It was coming from his deep Advaitic belief and a very rational and questioning mind. Thakur sensed Naren's thought and said, Jini Ram, Jini Krishna, Tini ei dehe Ramo Krishna. তবে তোমার ওই অদ্বৈত মতে নয়. He who is Rama, he who is Krishna, is now in this body as Ramakrishna, but not according to your Advaita view. Ramakrishna's clarification meant that he was not merely speaking of his impersonal realization of Brahman. He was indicating his divine manifestation, a concrete descent of divine, just like Rama or Krishna. We see in verses 4.7 and 4.8 of Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata avyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanang srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there is a decline of dharma and rise of adharma, I manifest myself. For the protection of the good, the destruction of the wicked, and the establishment of dharma, I appear age after age. So we are go to the 19th century Bengal under the colonial rule of British. Under the colonial influence, the countrymen were drifting away from their spiritual roots. And strong religious skepticism grew everywhere. In such a situation, Ramakrishna appears in Dakshineshwar as a simple temple priest. From the small temple room, he practiced Advaita sadhana, Tantra, Vaishnavism, and even Islam and Christianity. His priest chamber became a universal altar of Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman. All is indeed Brahman. Now hold on to that thought and superimpose to the Thakur's clarification to Narendra on his divine manifestation, where he says, but not according to your Advaita view. And see what Krishna has to say on verse 9.11 of Gita. Avajananti ma muda manushim tanumashritam param bhavam jananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram, meaning, fools disregard me when I dwell in human form, not knowing my higher nature as the great Lord of all beings. So in Vedantic language, the same Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss that manifested in Rama and Krishna had manifested again, not as a myth, but as a living experience as in Ramakrishna. We see in him a grand synthesis of the God of devotion, the Brahman of Advaita, the mother of Tantra, the Lord of Vaishnavism, all reconciled in one luminous life. In the age of division, he offered unity. In the age of doubt, he offered direct realization. In the age of reform and reaction, he offered synthesis. I conclude with the pranam mantra of Sri Ramakrishna as offered to his foremost disciple, Vivekananda. Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma swarupine Avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namah. My salutations to the greatest among all incarnations, my Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa, the fullest manifestation of divine, the harmonizer of all spiritual paths, the incarnation uniquely suited for the modern age. Om Shanti 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 Hi Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Kaushik. Your topic reminds me of something Sri Aurobindo said about Sri Ramakrishna. You know, Swamiji, in the mantra he composed on Sri Ramakrishna, Avatara Varishta, he uses this phrase, Avatara Varishta. He's the greatest of all avatars. And I think Kaushik helps explain why. Because he was the embodiment of all gods and goddesses and realized God in so many different forms and aspects. And Sri Aurobindo once said, this is, I think, in 1909, he wrote that, this is just a paraphrase, but he said basically, why was he the greatest of all incarnations? Because while other avatars realize God in a limited aspect or in one form, Sri Ramakrishna realized God in his illimitable unity as the sum of an illimitable variety. Next up is Geeta. She will be speaking on the topic transcend and then play. Please join me in welcoming Geeta.
Transcend and then play. That sounds like I mean go to the Nitya and then the Leela, or attain Jnana and then Vijnana. But those are states, totally different paradigms. I'm talking about the movement needed to get there, Anulom Vilom. Thakur Sri Ramakrishna seems to have been the first to use those terms in that way. Anulom for the inward movement of consciousness towards God realization, the natural direction for spiritual ascent. It can be a positive path that leads to experience of one's divine beloved for bhaktas, or a negative path of seeing the world as unreal for traditional jnanis. It can culminate in Brahmajnana from either path if one wants it. He uses Vilom for the return movement, bringing one's realization back into the world for those who want that. Even a small spiritual gain can make a big difference when carried into daily life. Vilom culminates in Vijnana, where one consciously lives in God's presence always. Thakur called that having God's darshan, and continued with, the divine is seen even with open eyes. The Vijnani moves at times from the Nitya to the Leela, and again from the Leela to the Nitya. To accept the Nitya is to accept the Leela as well. This is Anulom Vilom. For Jnani, This world is a mansion of mirth. Thakur described Anulom Vilom as the transition between three distinct yet real states, or ways of viewing the non-dual one reality. The world, where the gross state appears to be the reality, the eternal, which transcends the world, and Vijnana, where we see that the world is actually divine. The last two are lofty goals, but the important part is how to get there. For Anulom, you can use any sadhana on any path, including just relying on grace. And then use Vilom to integrate the results into your life. Realization isn't required to begin. Vilom changes our viewpoint. Blurring the distinction between spiritual and the world, they are no longer distinct paradigms. Anulom Vilom is a natural process for bhaktas. Using japa and meditation, Anulom can lead to a one-pointed love of God. Vilom is feeling her or his presence all day and her will in all events. We can start the process now by offering everyday activities to God, establishing a relationship like child or servant, and live that part, talking, praying, and chanting to her always. Remember her again and again until divine awareness becomes natural and life turns into a mansion of mirth, a delightful place. However, Vilom is not a goal in Sankhya or Shankara's Advaita Vedanta. They strive to negate and go beyond the world. That is probably why Thakur gives many examples of Anulom Vilom in the context of reaching a jnani's goal, and talked about Anulom as negation for the jnanis and Vilom as affirmation for those on the path of Vijnana. For example, he said, Dr. Shankar is now on the path of negation, Anulom Jache, following the process of neti. But later he will follow the path of affirmation, Vilom, and accept everything as the manifestation of God. But the meaning would change depending on the context. He often put it in terms of going up and down. They climb to the roof, ascend, and they can come down again, descend, by the stairs and move up and down the stairs or remain on the roof as they please. That's ascent and descent, Anulom and Vilom. Thakur also spoke of Anulom Vilom in terms of Laya and Srishti, involution and evolution, like when he gave an example of going inward step by step through the tattvas, merging into the void, and then coming back in a new evolved paradigm. He spoke in this way about cosmic processes as well, like how the universe is withdrawn or involved into the divine during pralaya or dissolution. That is involution or anulom. And at creation, it reemerges as manifestation through evolution, which is vilom. In either state, it is all the same one reality. This is one of Thakur's key insights. Brahman and Shakti are one reality appearing in two modes, static and dynamic. He repeatedly said that when talking about Anulom Vilom, and that you cannot accept one without accepting the other. The movement from stillness to activity is Vilom. Accepting it brings about a change in standpoint, not a fall from truth, but a fuller vision of it. So this tells us to first go within to the divine, but do not stop at the transcendent. Return to see God with open eyes. Participate consciously in the divine play. Then we can bask in the glory of Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur.
Thank you, Geeta. One of Sri Ramakrishna's most technical and somewhat cryptic teachings on Anuloma Viloma. She did a nice job of subtly explaining it. If you don't know Bengali and you look at the English translation by Nikhilanandaji, he tends to translate those terms, Anuloma Viloma, in two different ways in different contexts. Sometimes as involution and evolution, and other times as the affirmation of what was previously denied. And so it gets very tricky, so thank you, Gita. Next up is Lakshman. He will be singing for us. He'll be singing the well-known devotional hymn, Bhaja Govindam. Only a few of the verses from Bhaja Govindam. I'll read the translation of those verses that he'll be singing. Worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda, O foolish mind. When the time comes, at the time of death, the rules of grammar will surely not save you. So he's talking to a Pandit. And then, O fool, give up your thirst to amass wealth. Cultivate good thoughts in your mind and become free from desire. Be content with what you get through your own actions. Worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda, O foolish mind. As long as you are able to earn money, your family members are attached to you. Afterwards, when you live in a worn-out body, no one at home will even speak to you. Worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda, O foolish mind. Do not be proud of wealth, people, or youth. Time steals everything away in a moment. Leaving this whole illusion, enter the state of Brahman, having understood it. Worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda, O foolish mind. Please join me in welcoming Lakshman.
Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Samprapte sannihite kale, Samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karane, nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karane. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Mudhajahihi dhanagamatrishnaam, Mudhajahihi dhanagamatrishnaam, Kuru satbuddhim manasi vitrishnam, Kuru satbuddhim manasi vitrishnam. Yallabhase nija karmopatam, Yallabhase nija karmopatam, vittam tena vinodaya chitam. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Yavat vitoparjana sakta tavan nija parivaro rakta. Yavat vitoparjana sakta tavan nija parivaro rakta. Paschajivati jarjara dehe, Paschajivati jarjara dehe, Vartam kopina prichati gehe, Vartam kopina prichati gehe. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam, Harati nimeshat kala sarvam. Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam, Harati nimeshat kala sarvam. Maya mayamidam अखिलं हित्वा मायामयमिदम् अखिलं हित्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते.
Thank you, Lakshman, for the beautiful song. Those of you who have heard M.S. Subbulakshmi's version of the song, he was following that very beautifully. It's not an easy song to sing. Next up is Suman. He will be speaking on Sri Ramakrishna's views on science and scientism. Please join me in welcoming Suman.
My pranams to Swami Sarvadevanji and all the monks and Matajis here. Good afternoon, everybody. So right after Bhaja Govindam, which is asking us not to fuss about the grammar rules, I'm here to count the leaves and branches in Thakur's mango groove. So the topic is Thakur's views on science and scientism. So scientism is a word that has been coined long after Thakur Sri Ramakrishna's lifetime. But the mindset it represents was already taking root in 19th century India. Broadly speaking, scientism means the view that only natural sciences can generate genuine knowledge, and only those entities which exist, entities which natural science can discover exist. So it's basically a completely materialistic view of the world from the scientific point. Sri Ramakrishna lived at a time when Western science and philosophies were rapidly influencing Indian society. Doctors, lawyers, and teachers who were trained in European methods would visit and interact with him. And Sri Ramakrishna, in all these interactions, never rejected scientific inquiry. He always welcomed it. But there is a line he always drew between scientism and science. And in Gospel, we find several instances where he brings out this distinction clearly. In one conversation, an actor asks him, "What is the proof that the soul exists separately from the body?" And Sri Ramakrishna immediately understands the origin of this question. And he explains that the rishis directly experience the self, whereas science actually deals with what is perceived by the senses. And the truth about God actually lies beyond the senses. This is not anti-intellectualism. This is not anti-science. This is a clarification of domains. And notice that one asks for proof when the knowledge is not a direct experience. Later, in another conversation with Bankim Chandra, Thakur compares science to, as I said, counting leaves and branches in the mango grove, whereas the actual purpose of entering a mango grove was to enjoy the mango. Compared to God realization, he said, science and scriptures are like straw and dirt. However, his most pointed exchanges on this topic were with Dr. Sarkar. Dr. Sarkar was a feisty personality. He was a man of science. So Thakur would often mockingly point out the flaws in his science. In fact, science being one of the few English words that Thakur knew, he would often say it in English with an accent to playfully point out to Dr. Sarkar the limits of his science. He would often say, "It is not mentioned in your science that God can incarnate in human form, and hence you would not believe it." And the room would burst into laughter. On another occasion, when Dr. Sarkar was in the room, he asked Narendra to sing the song, "O Mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or of reason? What need have I of knowledge or of reason?" The words are important here. And as the song proceeded, Dr. Sarkar himself was overcome and started dancing in ecstasy. And once that ended, Sri Ramakrishna turned to Dr. Sarkar and asked, "What does your science say about this?" He was pointing to the divine ecstasy that he just enjoyed, that he just experienced. On another day, after coming down from a particular samadhi, he pointedly told Dr. Sarkar, "If you think these states of mine are a hoax, then your science is a bosh, as in your science is not inconsequential." And Dr. Sarkar replied sincerely, "If I thought it was a hoax, I would not be here with you." Now, scientism sometimes can function as a substitute religion also, sometimes demanding unquestioned faith or deference to authority. Sri Ramakrishna points to this tendency. He once remarked about a man who wouldn't believe that a house has collapsed in the neighborhood because it was not printed in the newspaper. Sri Ramakrishna says, if only it were printed, then he would have believed it. He's pointing to our tendency to trust institutional authority over direct experience. And that is scientism, not science. Analyzing the mango is not the same as tasting it. Reading about rain is not the same as getting drenched in it. Studying consciousness is not the same as realizing it. Science helps us understand this world. Spiritual pursuits helps us understand ourselves. For Thakur Sri Ramakrishna, wisdom lies not in choosing one over the other, but in knowing their proper place. Thank you. Jai Maa.
Thank you, Suma. That was a brilliant speech. It reminds me, one point that you were making was about how Sri Ramakrishna is clarifying domains, that science and religion belong to different domains. One of the famous proponents of that view is Stephen Jay Gould, professor at Harvard, and he described religion and science as non-overlapping magisteria. Next up is Pranav. He will be speaking on the topic, Manifestations of Shakti in the Life of Sri Ramakrishna. Please join me in welcoming Pranav.
Guess what? It's not accepting my fingerprint. Well, yeah.
Wing it.
Wing it. Yeah, that'd be a challenge. Why? Because there've been a lot of firsts.
Swap with one of the later speakers.
Yeah, let's try.
Okay,
Let's try.
Okay, we're gonna invite him later. Okay, so Pranav will join us a little bit later once this computer reads his fingerprint. In the meantime, Kaushiki will be speaking on A Tale of Two Mangoes. Please join me in welcoming Kaushiki.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Pranam to Gurudev, Swami Sardevananji Maharaj, to all the Matajis present here, and to all the Swamis present here. Fellow devotees and friends, I'm here with a mango story. My talk is titled A Tale of Two Mangoes, and I've made Swami Medhananda over the past week very much cringed over all the mango stories that I've made him listen to just to prepare for this talk. So it's great to be bumped up in the queue with all the mango stories. My theme is to go from unripe I, the kacha ami, to paka ami. I see the word ami and am very similar, and I never for even once doubted that Thakur meant not the mango word, but just ami in general. And I see it as a clear pun intended in the gospel, which Swami Mahayogananda disagrees. He just says it's a fruit in general. Swami Medhananji disagrees. He says that it's just a fruit. I'm saying it's for sure a mango. So from kacha ami to paka ami. And I'm sharing this story for householders, Because as a householder, I always get confused. I see these beautiful people in all orange robes, and I see them as orange mangoes right in front of me. I want to be an orange mango on the outside as well. It feels very nice. In fact, in gospel, one householder says, "I don't relish worldly life. Oh, how happy you are here." And the orange mango replies, a monk replies, "Why don't you finish the few duties you have in the world? Very soon they will be left behind." And I'm pretty sure that's the story of many householder devotees. You realize that you see these beautiful, lovely orange people. You want to be orange on the outside and the inside. But you know what? You are the green mango kind. There's a beautiful mango called the Langada Aam. It is amazing in taste. It is green on the outside, fully ripe on the inside, and that's a possibility. That's a beautiful mango. It's offered to Shiva in Kashi. So you will be at Lord's feet. Don't worry about it. And I'm here to tell you how. Let's get technical over here. There is the unripe I. Unripe I makes one feel I am the doer. It is the limited and selfish ego. Ami and Amar, mine and me and mine are its favorite phrases. It doesn't feel like the best version of itself, and truly so, it is sour to many people. If it doesn't try to ripen, it will end up crushed or boiled into a worldly chutney. This green mango doesn't want that. The green mango knows that there is a better ending that brings freedom, love, and peace. Because the ripe mango club, the enlightened sages, have spoken unanimously about it. Now, what is the ripe I? In Thakur's words, it is the I after God realization. It is the I that comes with the love for God. He says, keep the ripe I, which will make you feel that you are the servant of God, his devotee, and the God is the doer, and you are his instrument. Thakur also describes that after realizing God, a man becomes like a child 5 years old. The ego of such a man may be called the ego of a child, the ripe ego. The child is not under the control of any of the gunas. He is beyond the 3 gunas. The child is beyond all ideas of purity and impurity. He is not bound by social conventions. The green mango exactly wants that. Now, what does the process look like for a householder? Thakur and M have a lot of conversations in gospel, and they are my go-to whenever I'm looking for advice to householders from Thakur. So let's hear what did they talk about. Thakur tells him, what is the use of knowing many things? God will explain everything to you and tell you about the other paths as well. It is enough for you to develop love for God. You have no need for many opinions and discussions. You have come to the orchard to eat mangoes. Enjoy them to your heart's content. You don't need to count the branches and leaves on the trees. It is wise to follow the attitude of Hanuman. I don't know the day of the week, the phase of the moon, or the positions of the stars. I only contemplate Rama. He also tells M that the mental renunciation is the way for householders to be in this world. M tells Thakur, I now desire that my activities may be much reduced and that I may devote myself greatly to God. Master says, certainly your desire will be fulfilled. Pray to God that your worldly duties may be reduced, and you will achieve the goal if you renounce mentally. M says, M is feisty. He wants to renounce outwardly as well. So he pushes Sri Ramakrishna a little bit. He says, but mental renunciation is prescribed for those who cannot give up the world outwardly. For superior devotees, total renunciation is enjoined both outer and inner. You know how Sri Ramakrishna responded to that? Sri Ramakrishna was silent for a few minutes and then resumed the conversation. He changed the topic. He didn't respond to that. And I really get mad at these moments in the gospel when you really want the answer. And Sri Ramakrishna just stays silent and changes the topic. He changed the topic to, tell me what's the meaning of renunciation? renunciation is not just dispassion for the world, it's also longing for God. So just not feel that you are just renouncing and getting away from the world. It's also developing and longing for God, and that's the ripeness process. Now, in the ripening of mangoes, there's a moment where mango tree releases ethylene gas. That's the natural ripening process. We don't want any artificial ripening. In the householder's life, I see it as grace descending from God. So you may do sadhana for many times. You practice purity, patience, and perseverance. But there comes a stage where you are fully mature, you're fully prepared, but still the grace of God needs to descend for you to turn orange on the inside. And that's the finishing bit. Like, you will practice sadhana for a long time, but also pray for the grace of God to descend on you, and then Thakur will be ready to eat you up. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaushiki. It turned out better than I was expecting, so that's okay. I'm joking. Next up is a duet by Ila, my mother, happens to be my mother, and Debjani Ma. They will be singing a song by Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore is an anglicization of Thakur, actually. We keep saying Thakur for this Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna, but Rabindranath Tagore, he's another Thakur. So the song is Bohe Nirantara Anandodhara. I'll be reading the translation. It's a very lofty, sublime kind of philosophical song. You'll get a sense from the lyrics. Endlessly flows the infinite stream of bliss. In the boundless expanse of the sky resounds the beginningless cosmic sound. Countless suns, moons, and stars awaken. In the single undivided realm of the universe reigns the Supreme One, the sovereign of all sovereigns. The astonished universe, stilled in a moment, bows at his feet. Hundreds of thousands of devoted hearts are overawed in speechless wonderment. Please join me in welcoming Ila and Debjani.
Bahe nirantaro anando anando dhara bahe nirantaro anando anando dhara baje ashimo nabh
Thank you to Ila and Devjani for that beautiful song. 2 more speeches, unless Pranav shows up again. So next up is Kiran. She will be speaking on Sri Ramakrishna's limitlessness. Please join me in welcoming Kiran.
Hello, everyone. Pranam Swamijis, Pranam Mataji, and everyone here. So I was mainly just inspired by this passage in the Gospel, and these are my thoughts, basically. So the passage from the Gospel says, I have sung these songs to suit your Vaishnava temperament, but I must sing differently when the Shaktas or others come. Here, people of all sects come. Vaishnavas, Shaktas, Kartabhajas, Vedantists, and also members of the modern Brahmo Samaj. Therefore, one finds here all ideals and attitudes. It is by the will of God that different religions and opinions have come into existence. God gives different people what they can digest. The mother does not give fish pilau to all her children. All cannot digest it. So she prepares simple fish soup for some. Everyone cherishes his own special ideal and follows his own nature. So reading this passage made me think about 2 things. The first one, because Sri Ramakrishna says here. So it made me think about what he really means when he's saying here. And yeah, we can relate to here as like the principle and like the embodiment of all gods and goddesses, as we've heard during the talks in Sri Ramakrishna. But also, I personally believe that Thakur's form is a key. And it's almost like he made himself a key, if that makes any sense, for us to access like the secret of life and the universe. The portal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So so it made me really think about Thakur's form and that it's not just a picture. It's not a picture of a man. Like, of course, we perceive it as that with our eyes, but I feel like the more that we can dive deeper in our spiritual practice, I feel like a deeper realization comes. And so this is almost like a call for all of us to really plunge in more intensely in our sadhana and really get more intimate with Thakur. And then the other thing that occurred to me was that it's been interesting for me to experience, and hear all the different interpretations of Sri Ramakrishna while I've been here. And I feel like trying to understand his philosophy, I guess, if you could say that he had a philosophy, it's obviously good for us to understand him better. But obviously, he was beyond all, sects and philosophies and our concept of religions, and I think obviously that's the beauty of Thakur, and that is why he says, therefore one finds here all ideals and attitudes, because all of the possibilities are in him. So everyone, no matter their temperament and tendencies, can find their own way through him. So I really believe that there's an immense power to his form, and I believe that's why he says, therefore one finds here all ideals and attitudes. And I was also reflecting upon this passage because my mother is visiting me, and my mother is a very devout Catholic person, and sometimes in the past I had really found it difficult to talk with my mother about religion or spiritual matters. But for some reason, this time that she's been here, it has felt different for me. And I no longer feel like I want to be right. I really feel like my mother's path, like I have learned to really appreciate my mother's love for God. Like, just like, it's actually really beautiful for me. But now, whatever was in me has kind of like, I guess, dissolved. And whenever I hear my mother talk about Christ now, for me, it's like I can just imagine Christ merging into Sri Ramakrishna, and I don't know, it just feels good actually to hear about Christ. But yeah, so I want to just, say a few questions for us all, because I feel like, we can say all of these things about like Thakur's embracing all religions and whatnot, but whenever we have to actually deal with it in the world, I bet we all struggle a little bit. So how open are we when we hear each other? And are we really trying to listen to one another, or do we just want to be right, to be the wisest? Sri Ramakrishna sung different songs to the different devotees to suit their nature. He never forced any one ideal to people. So whatever is in our deepest recesses of our hearts, that is the path that we will follow. And that is why he says everyone cherishes his own special idea and follows his own nature. Because at the end of the day, our hearts will lead us back to God, back to Mother, back to Thakur. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Kiran, for that nice speech on Sri Ramakrishna's limitlessness. One of the things that I love about Sri Ramakrishna is that he was so broad and universal, but without being foofy. These days, there are a lot of people who are universal, but at the expense of rigor, at the expense of clarity. Swamiji described our tradition as a non-sectarian sect, to capture the kind of paradox of clarity and rigor combined with this universalism. Thank you, Kiran. And our closing speech now will be offered by Ellis. He'll be speaking on dynamic sadhana. Please join me welcoming Ellis. Now our closing speech. Closing speech will be by Sarvadeva.
Oh, yeah. Pranam Swamijis and Matajis. Good afternoon, everybody. I love how all of these speeches are kind of interconnected. I was going to use that quote, Kieran, but I didn't have space, so we won't be repeating, but it's a good one, and I think mine kind of dovetails with that. So, God can be realized by means of all paths. God is infinite, and infinite are the ways to reach him. These quotes from Sri Ramakrishna are ones that many of us know well, and we usually hear them in the context of harmonizing the world's religions, and that is the macro view. But what about the micro view? I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think that many of us still put ourselves into boxes despite the broadness of our tradition. We wear our little spiritual badges that say, I'm a bhakta, or I'm a karma yogi. Mine would probably say, hello, I'm a mystic. I came to Vedanta by the way of the Yoga Sutra, so Raja Yoga really appeals to me as a practice. The meditation, the pranayama, and also engaging with anything really heady, like Swami Medhananda's scholarly articles. But recently, I got a new job, one with a lot of moving parts, and I found it increasingly difficult to quiet my mind in meditation. I've actually found myself singing devotional hymns when I sit for meditation, chanting and praying instead of trying to quiet my mind and identify with my true nature. And at first I thought I was falling off from my spiritual practice. Not that bhakti is a lower path, but it's just not the path that my ego is attached to. It's not the practice that I pat myself on the back for and say, I've done my spiritual work now. But then I recalled that God is infinite, and infinite are the ways to reach him. And I remembered that Sri Ramakrishna's infinite paths don't only apply to the religions of the world, but also to the changing circumstances within a single spiritual life. Life is dynamic. Our minds are calm and sattvic one day, and the next day we might be experiencing a crisis. Sri Ramakrishna's teachings tell us that the way we approach the divine can be just as dynamic as life itself. Unwavering in the goal, but flexible in the means, as long as we are sincere. This is dynamic sadhana, allowing the form of our practice to respond to the reality of our lives. Sri Ramakrishna often quoted Hanuman, who said, "O Rama, as long as I have the feeling of I see that thou art the whole and I am the part. Thou art the master and I am thy servant. But when, O Rama, I have the knowledge of truth, then I realize that thou art I and I am thou." We usually read this as describing different standpoints of realization, but could it also somehow describe the different moments in a single life? When I'm experiencing peace and solitude, I realize that thou art I and I am thou. And when life is chaotic and I'm immersed in the world, then I see that thou art the master and I am the servant, and I adjust my practice to meet that reality. Sri Ramakrishna once said, "Let those who have no leisure worship God at least morning and evening by wholeheartedly chanting his name and clapping their hands." And he also told devotees, "Renounce everything for a few days, retire into solitude to practice." These aren't contradictions to me. They're instructions for different moments in the same life. One practice for when you're caught up in the whirlwind, and another for the retreat, and there's no hierarchy. We see Sri Ramakrishna himself described as a God-man of infinite moods, moving from the plane of non-dual unity to singing songs to the personal God and dancing with both hands raised. Swami Vivekananda synthesized this too when he emphasized combining the four yogas. Another acknowledgement that our sadhana can shift over time. Some days more karma yoga, others more bhakti, all valid paths to reach the divine, as long as each one is practiced with sincerity and with the ideal that everything and everyone is ultimately divine. And that's one of the beautiful things about Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. They free us from the trap of spiritual perfectionism, from the trap of dogmatism and narrowness, and they lead us to something much freer and much more practical. So now when I sit for meditation and I find myself singing instead of witnessing, I don't see regression, I see dynamic sadhana. I see Sri Ramakrishna's infinite paths meeting me where I am and reassuring me that the divine reaches us through whatever sincere doorway that we open at each moment of our ever-changing lives. In the true spirit of that infinite broadness, he once said, "There are some aspirants who cannot practice spiritual discipline by calculating about japa or the period of meditation. All they do is cry to God with yearning hearts. God hears their cry and cannot keep himself away. He reveals himself to them." Thank you.
Thank you, Ellis. It's a great speech explaining how we can, it's very practical, how we can spiritualize every moment of our lives. I think the key is, Krishna in the Gita says again and again that we should be satata yukta, remain connected with the divine. So how do we do that? We can use different yogas in the course of the day to remain connected with the divine. Thanks, Ellis. And I think Pranava is back. Am I right in thinking that Pranava is back? And better than before. So please join me in welcoming Pranav. He's going to speak. He's going to be our final speech by a devotee, Manifestations of Shakti in the Life of Sri Ramakrishna.
There have been a lot of firsts since I've come to Vedanta. This is another one, giving a talk, I'm greatly honored to be up here and to be able to talk about Sri Ramakrishna with all of you today. It's a happy occasion. So, to begin, I'll briefly reflect on the manifestation of Shakti as an aspect of Sri Ramakrishna's divine personality. Hold on. It's freaking out a little bit. It's a joke the gods played on me, huh? This is that Shakti I was talking about. The divine play. Okay. So, yeah, Shakti is somewhat difficult to speak about because it spans many dimensions of human existence and experience at the same time. For example, philosophically, we can say that it's a dynamic aspect of Brahman. Linguistically, the word simply means power or energy. Cosmologically, it is Maya, the governing principle behind all manifestation. But for our purposes today, the theological and mystical dimensions are most important. Through a theological lens, Shakti and the Divine Mother are one and the same. And in the mystical sense, Shakti is the direct experience of a living divine presence. It is that living presence as the Divine Mother expressing herself through Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna and as power and tenderness. And I invite you to consider today, as we visit the two stories from his life, these two ideas. The devotees in Hollywood are very earnest, and no doubt you've all heard these stories before, but two kind of stood out for me, and I thought they were just fascinating manifestations of Shakti. The first, we encounter my apologies. As I said, my first time, let me back up. Many have encountered stories of Ramakrishna's extraordinary spiritual power through the gospel, through Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, and more recently through the remarkable series of books compiled by Swami Chaitanandaji. In one such account from Ramakrishna as we knew him, we meet the photographer Abhinash Chandra Dan, the man who took the famous photo of the master that's up there. The photograph of the master in Bhava Samadhi. When Abhinash attempts to gently raise the master's chin to improve the composition of the shot, he's astonished to find that Thakur's body, the entire body, lifts up into the air as though it's made of paper. Amazing. And one can't help but wish we also had a photo of Abhinash's face in that moment. Right? The second story, but the stories that most touch the heart are not the miraculous ones. They're the stories of the Master's depth of compassion, his attraction to and love for the sincere devotee. In chapter 17 of They Lived with God, we encounter Nistarani, hope I'm saying that right, Nistarani Ghosh, and her husband, Navagopal, who sponsored a festival in honor of the Master. We know Thakur held a great affection for Nistarani and held her in high regard as he occasionally permitted her to touch his feet, which is a rare honor. On this occasion, while seated at the table, the Master read her heart. Nistarani had a secret wish to feed Thakur his favorite sun dish with her own hand. Without her having to say a word, he looked at her with a smile and said, "All right, feed me." No sooner had she placed the sweet in his mouth than a mysterious being, presumably Kundalini Shakti, rose up from Sri Ramakrishna's throat and ate the food. Also, wow. One's reminded of the young Krishna who, after being scolded by his mother Yashoda on the suspicion of eating dirt, opened his mouth at her insistence, revealing the entirety of creation spinning there, where his tongue and teeth and perhaps a little dirt should have been. Sri Ramakrishna later remarked that Nistarani was a partial manifestation of one of the 10 forms of the Divine Mother, and that through her influence, her husband, Navagopal, had escaped from Maya. That's a good wife right there. Later that same evening, Navagopal approached the Master and asked for a boon, a blessing to carry him forward. Sri Ramakrishna said to him reassuringly, "Don't worry. Think of me morning and evening. If you cannot do anything else, that'll be sufficient." Not grand instruction, not a complex sadhana, just morning and evening, that shall be sufficient. Okay. The MC is telling me to get down. How much have I got left? Let's look about it. Okay. Sorry, Miranandaji. Forgive. Okay. So not a grand instruction, not complex sadhana, morning and evening, etc., etc. This is Shakti in its most accessible form. Not a blast of light descending from heaven or up the spine, not a body lifting into the air, but the quiet assurance of a thing that is ever present, moment by moment. There is something here that the great theologians seem to have hardly touched. Shakti in her most intimate form is not merely an obscure force of nature. She is the one who knows what is hidden in your heart. And when sincerity and devotion demands transformation of consciousness, it is she who comes to fill the void. There's a bit more, but I'll just end with a little prayer here, if that's all right. May the work that flows from your heart in your hands be offered without grasping of its fruits. May the knowledge you gather make you wise and keep you honest, and may bhakti fill your heart with warmth and sincerity. May your meditation be steady, clear, and bright. And when it is not, may you begin again without harshness toward yourself. And may the Shakti that brought you here today continue to open and guide you quietly, steadily, to perfection in the days ahead. Thank you. Om Jai Ma.
Thank you, Pranav. That was wonderful. And finally, we have a closing song and then the closing speech by Revered Sarvadevanaji. So the closing song will be by Sangeeta and her son Ramanuj. The song is Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam, and the translation is, I seek refuge at the holy feet of my Guru, Sri Ramakrishna. His blessed feet remove the impurities of the mind, bestow supreme peace and joy, and grant fearlessness to all. O revered Guru, remove my pride and ego. I surrender at your feet. At the holy feet of Sharada Devi, I seek refuge. At the holy feet of Swami Vivekananda, I seek refuge. I dedicate myself in surrender at your holy feet. I seek refuge at the holy feet of my Guru, Sri Ramakrishna. Please join me in welcoming Sangeeta and Ramanuj.
Our pranams to Sri Ramakrishna, revered Swamijis, Matajis, and devotees.
Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mama Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mati Madaharanam Ati Shukha Karanam Abhaya Bitaranam Sri Charanam Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mama Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mama Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Mati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Mati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Ati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Abhaya Vitaranam Sri Charanam Abhaya Vitaranam Sri Charanam Mama Rama Krishna Charanam Sharanam 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 Abhimala Haranam Ati Sukha Karanam Ati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Mati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Mati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Abhaya Vitaranam Sri Charanam Abhaya Vitaranam Sri Charanam Mama Rama Krishna Charanam Sharanam 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 Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Sarada Devi Charanam Sharanam Sarada Devi Charanam Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Sarada Devi Charanam Sharanam Sarada Devi Charanam Sharanam Vivekananda Charanam Sharanam Vivekananda Charanam Sharanam Karvanite Charanam Sharanam Karvanite Charanam Sharanam Vivekananda Charanam Sharanam Vivekananda Charanam Sharanam Karvanite Charanam Sharanam Karvanite Charanam Sharanam Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mama Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mama Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mama Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Ati Malaharanam Ati Sukha Karanam Abhaya Vitaranam Sri Charanam Abhaya Vitaranam Sri Charanam Mama Rama Krishna Charanam Sharanam Mama Rama Krishna Charanam Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Abhinaya Mapanaya Sadguru Sharanam Sarada Devi Charanam Sharanam Sarada Devi Charanam Sharanam Vivekananda Charanam Sharanam Vivekananda Vivekananda Charanam Sharanam Garbhanite Charanam Sharanam Garbhanite Charanam Sharanam Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam Mama 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 Ramakrishna Charanam Sharanam.
Thank you so much, Srimagita and Ramanuj. Maharaj, I'm now inviting Swami. Maharaj? Oh, I'll say, I now invite revered Swami Sarvadevanji Maharaj. I have nothing to say, I'm a nobody. So anyway, I'm very happy to welcome revered Sarvadevanji Maharaj. He'll be offering his closing speech and blessings to all of us. Thank you, please, Maharaj.
We enjoyed so much because of Swami Medhanandaji's organizing this wonderful program on this special day today, Sri Ramakrishna's birthday celebration. We have heard so many facets of Sri Ramakrishna and the spiritual significance of his coming, the Avatara, who becomes Avatara, how, and what is the purpose of his inman coming down. It is for the whole world. Ramakrishna didn't come for any particular sect, country, person, philosophy, ideology. It is a consummation of all the spiritual ideals, of thousands of years of Indian spiritual traditions. All the Vedic, since time immemorial, the paths which has been followed by all the saints and sages, and those gave them the realization of the ultimate. Sri Ramakrishna followed them all to demonstrate this ancient wisdom, Ekang Sat, that truth is only one. And this is a very crying need of the time and for all time. It is for the benefit of the whole world. Holy Mother said that Sri Ramakrishna did not practice the spiritual disciplines after mission of Makali to have established this philosophy for the harmony of religion. But Holy Mother said, she was so much in love with Mother, and he felt the attraction, how others are calling. And that is the sincere yearning for God. That's also yearning for God. Not to plan anything as we plan for anything in our life. We plan everything, I will be this. But here is no planning. It is a divine will. And that will spontaneously work for redemption of the whole world. That means this is Ramakrishna is an avenue to the millions of people. As Rabindranath Tagore's beautiful word is one few lines, what he talked about Ramakrishna is a consummation of whole Sri Ramakrishna philosophy and ideal. Bahu sadhaker, bahu sadhanar dhara, dhyane tomar milito hoyeche tara, তোমার জীবনে অসীমের লীলা পথে নূতন তীর্থ রূপ নিল এই জগতে. A new place of pilgrimage has happened in your life. Bahu sadhak, all these spiritual aspirants, bahu sadhana, the multiple ways of reaching God, dhara, the stream of those practices, milito hoyeche, it has all mingled into your one life. And there I offer my salutation at your feet. It is for the whole world, this Ramakrishna. Other incarnations are the same incarnations come. Same, Jai Ram, say Krishna. Say Eidehe Ramakrishna. Who came as Rama, he is the same person as Krishna. And he is the same person as Ramakrishna. He is the same person as Christ and Buddha. But here is in one life, this consummation of all the ideals, is a unique phenomena in the world of spirituality. So and also, anyone can approach from any level. The last reading was there are from different sects and denominations in spirituality, which may be left-handed, right-handed, that. He has come to the whole world to show, yes, they will have to journey where they are. From that point, they will have to climb up into the upper stairs. So there is no contradiction, conviction, only this conviction he gives to us, that be sincere and follow dedicatedly to know God and to realize God. So he does not understand any other language. For Ramakrishna, there is no other language, only God, God, God. So gospel is before us, Ramakrishna's life is before us. We are blessed to have this and hope that we can follow as much as we can inculcate in our life. That much will be harmonious, that much. Coming to Ramakrishna, one cannot be dogmatic. If he is dogmatic, he is not following religion. He is sectarian, Swami Medhananda mentioned one, as a sect, less sect. This is a sect, Ramakrishna sect. But this is a sectless sect, a sect which does not dominate, does not proselytize, does not change anyone, but only helps following Sri Ramakrishna's life, changes the mind to move into the divine from wherever, in whichever level they are. Not to criticize, not to find fault with others, but to focus on our own spiritual journey. So you are already late for your tea, and time is closing for evening arati. So we pray to Sri Ramakrishna for his infinite blessings, so that we can be really spiritual people. Spiritual, pakam, ripe indigo, ripe and sweet mango, juicy, not to count the leaves and trees. So those ideals can be implanted in our ideas and ideals in our life. Thank you all, and thanks especially Medhananda. And now he will be leaving. See, what is this? But that is Ramakrishna's play, what can we say? So I am helpless.
Very irresponsible of him.
Yes, catch him. Anyhow, we pray to Sri Ramakrishna for our all well-being and blessings so that we can be spiritual. Thank you all. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om Tat Sat, Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. So you can please go and have some cup of tea, come back by 6 o'clock. No, it will be 6, we will start 10 past 6. 6:10. 10 minutes delay.
6:10, so we got a good amount of time. Enjoy your tea.
Thank you.
No.